Paul Harrell, weekdays from 4 to 6. Learn more at paulharrell.com.
For his weekly segment, we now have back with us Mr. David Crow. David is from the Arkansas Tea Party Alliance. He's also the chairman of the Faulkner County Tea Party. Calling in. Are you calling in from Faulkner County, David?
We are. I'm calling from the old master bedroom here.
All right.
From Faulkner County, yeah.
Live.
Sitting on a brand new couch. Hey, man, how is that baby? How's that new baby?
Oh, wow. She's amazing. She's obviously.
Absolutely.
All this is, it's cliche, but it's also true. Life-changing, amazing, a miracle. Me and the missus are still trying to figure out kind of what a new baseline for normal is. You know what I mean? Moving forward. But
I so know this. Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes,
and so we're figuring that out. We'll be parents for 2 weeks tomorrow at around 11 o'clock.
Wonderful. Well, I hope you guys are getting some sleep. I remember the first. Yes.
Well, I mean, I'm getting some sleep. I mean, I'm up with her sometimes. We're doing this 3-hour thing. Trying to keep her on a pretty tight schedule. But all the sleep that I do get, because I don't have the anatomy that's useful for feeding. All of the sleep that I am getting is actually pretty guilty. I'm like, people are like, how are you sleeping? Well, I mean, I've lost some sleep, but not near as much as she has. So I feel pretty guilty about the whole thing.
Oh, that's okay.
All right.
That's right. You don't have the parts you need for taking care of that every 3 hours.
Yeah, that's right. So, and we don't believe in transitions, and I don't self-identify. Like I feel like I should have the equipment. I'm really sorry. Okay, so David Crow is with us. It's the Arkansas Tea Party Alliance Convention. We want to remind you guys of this. It's the third annual convention. It's September the 16th from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock. It's a Saturday. It's in Little Rock. And we want you guys to go buy tickets online and plan to be at this event. You don't have to be a Tea Party member to go to it. You probably want to be a limited government conservative, though, right, David?
Absolutely. And so let me point out something. I made a mistake about 3 years ago when we had our first convention. We invited Asa Hutchinson, and he is not a conservative, and so he will not be at our event.
Wow.
And he still had our eyes, pulled over for that first round. But, man, I tell you what, this guy has gone to the other side. Mm-hmm. I understand he has an apartment with MSNBC and CNN, and he is a regular on their shows these days. That is really serious. Kindred spirits there.
Yeah, and there might be some people that would say that criticism of him is unfair, but I really don't think so, because if it may just show a naivete or a cluelessness from him, because these liberal outfits, they want Republicans to come on the air and criticize conservatives. That's their function. Mm-hmm. That's their function, and that's what Asa Hutchinson is serving when he's doing those things. Yeah,
he's propping them up for their agenda, and they're very quick to say Republican Asa Hutchinson from the southern state of Arkansas.
Yeah,
and it is really regretful that he has chosen to take this path. I do not understand this comment that he made about Bozeman and Cotton. Does anybody believe that those two guys would throw the citizens of Arkansas under the bus and push for this Medicaid block grant for expanded coverage? They will have to say that to me before I'll believe it.
Yeah, me too. That's kind of where I am. And he says in his statement he released via email, now it has been announced that the Senate bill does not have the votes. I look forward to discussing any future action with both Senator Bozeman and Senator Cotton. They have provided significant help in getting changes in the Senate bill that are more favorable to Arkansas, and am grateful for their support. I've reached out to Senator Cotton's office just to say, hey, because he went on MSNBC. We played it last hour, and he took total credit, or he gave them credit for the block grant idea for expanded coverage, which is for able-to-work adults. So it's very strange. But here's the thing: when Tom Cotton, who has a very the highest, he's got the highest national profile of anybody right now from Arkansas, And when he goes on these shows, I don't feel embarrassed. I don't feel like he's being used by the liberals to,
not at all.
because he'll go on NBC or MSNBC,
right.
he advocates for the platform, but but Asa doesn't. When Asa's going on this, he comes across as, to me, just not representing the average Arkansan at all.
No, not at all. And regretfully, he's all about maintaining and keeping in place ASA care, and it just is regretful that we find ourselves in the situation that we do, with 330 additional people on Medicare coverage, expanded Medicare coverage, which now takes us over 1 million people in the state. 1/3 of our population is on expanded Medicaid, and it's just it is regretful that we find ourselves there. That's costing the citizens $2 billion a year, and he is just giddy about the fact that the Senate is not going to vote on the bill that they had proposed, and then he's even more giddy that probably they have chosen not to repeal Obamacare. But what I think that and I think McConnell is going to do an up and down vote on that next week. But I understand that the administration has said, Trump administration has said, is we're just going to let Obamacare crash. And my question is once that happens, what happens in the state of Arkansas to the 330,000 people that they have, our governor and our legislature has placed on expanded Medicaid? Medicaid.
I don't know. I know that Asa has certainly fought all of his recommendations. He's been to the left of Paul Ryan, which is saying something. He's been to the left of Mitch McConnell. He has fought to make this bill even more progressive than they wanted it. And I think, well, first of all, I want the people of Arkansas to know that. I want them to understand that. I'm sure the happiest person right now, just on face value, would be liberal columnist John Brummett. However, I actually think, and I could be wrong, but David, I think this might be a win for conservatism. I know they're going to try to do a straight repeal, and right now there's reports saying that they don't have the votes for that, even though they still need to get on record. They still need to have the vote, and then the American people are going to see that there's a lot of cleaning up to do in the Republican Party. And, it may be time. It may be time for a new Senate Majority Leader and a new Speaker, honestly.
I agree. I would love to see both of those turned over. But I also like what you said about just doing a straight-up vote on repeal, so we know who is for and who is against. And it just makes it perfectly clear for everybody, because it's amazing. Back in 2015, all of them voted for repeal, but when it didn't matter then, but they actually needed that for a re-election. But now this one will be taken, and we'll just let the chips fall where they may. And it's a sad state of affairs right now that we find ourselves in.
The repeal bill that they want to have a vote on is the same one from 2015. This morning on national radio, Senator Cotton said, of course I'm going to vote for it. Of course I'm going to vote for the straight repeal because I voted for it last time. And then he started to question, hey, anybody that, why wouldn't you do this? Why wouldn't you go ahead and vote for something you voted last year? And national radio host Hugh Hewitt, he says, hey, if there's a Republican that voted for this in 2015 and doesn't vote for it now, they need to just resign because their career is over.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Don't you know that I guess Asa's probably got Cotton and Bozeman on the phone now trying to get them to vote against it. So.
I mean, you would think so. I mean,
that's right.
Obviously, that's what his opinion would be. He on June 30th, Asa came out against the straight repeal without a replacement. So, and we know why, because he supports what's going on. He was asked by Arkansas News and John Lyon in a story over the weekend. Do you wish Governor Mike Beebe hadn't have expanded Medicaid? And he said no. I mean, I don't know the exact quote, but he said no. I don't necessarily. I wouldn't say that. Quote, I wouldn't say that is his quote. So, every day, every time these negotiations keep moving forward, Governor Hutchinson, really, if you'll read between the lines, he's getting further and further to the left, and he wanted this bill to be more progressive. And in a way, Governor Hutchinson's lobbying, you could say, it's a bridge people are going to be upset about that I'm making, but Governor Hutchinson lobbying this bill to become more progressive is why you lost conservatives like Mike Lee and Rand Paul, and you didn't actually get a vote on the bill. I thought people might think that's a stretch, but I think if you indirectly, that's certainly the case, because you got to think all these taxes that were kept in the bill that are the reason Rand Paul and Mike Lee can't support it are connected with all of these quote private end quote companies that are dependent on the federal government. In the system that they've created, and they don't want it to go away. We're talking about Blue Cross Blue Shield based out of Chicago, Arkansas Blue Cross Blue Shield. There's really nothing local about that, and it's all interconnected. And this is the thing, David. We're on the path to socialized medicine, and this is why liberty doesn't matter. The third annual convention is so important. All of these healthcare executives, if the left gets what they want, and if the progressives who claim to be Republicans, who just refuse to see what they're doing to this country, what they're doing to future generations, they can't see the forest because they're just staring at the trees, it will be the Blue Crosses, Blue Shields of the world that initially, to make everybody feel okay, are the ones that are given the bureaucratic authority to run all of this stuff. And then eventually they're the ones who will be the government administrators, where you will not be able to see where the government ends and Blue Cross Blue Shield, for example, begins. And that's what I wish some of these rhino Republicans would realize. You may think these guys are your friends. Oh, it's they lie to themselves and they say, oh, it's about the private market because we're using private insurance. No, these guys are waiting in the wings to get their government jobs, and they will then be ruling over us. That's really where I think we're headed.
Right on. I totally agree with you, Paul. And those of you that are out there questioning whether this was the right thing or the wrong thing to do, you can just look at England, are over in Great Britain right now, and what has happened over there. We've got the court system determining whether or not an infant can live or die, and the parents have no say in it. And that's where this kind of bureaucracy with our Medicare, our Medicaid, and the expansion and all, and this movement towards single payer, large government, expanding spending and just continuing to layer on regulation and taking away our freedoms and our liberties is a huge mistake. And people, we have got to step up and say enough is enough. We need to have our liberty and our freedom back, because if people like Asa Hutchinson and a number of these Republicans remain in office, we will be going down this path, and it will be the ruin of the United States of America.
Mr. David Crow with the Arkansas Tea Party Alliance, also the chairman of the Faulkner County Tea Party. Thanks for coming on, folks. It's Liberty Does It Matter, the third annual convention, Saturday, September 16th from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Do not miss it. Tickets are $30. It's a break-even deal. You'll be given a lunch, but you're going to hear some great conservative speakers. We'll talk to David again next week. We want you guys to go to this. If you want to buy tickets online, it's pinned at the top of the Paul Harrell Program Facebook page at facebook.com/Paul Talk Show. That's facebook.com/Paul Talk Show. David, sir, be safe. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it so much.
All righty. Folks, got to go to break. Back in a moment.